A woman puts crocodile poop inside her body on purpose, not by mistake. She mixed it with honey first. Then she used it right before sex. She believed it would stop a baby from happening. And this isn't some weird rumor. This is written down in a real medical document by a real doctor in ancient Egypt. This is just one entry on a long list, a list of crazy things women did to control their own bodies before science, before doctors knew anything real. Some of these tricks almost worked. Most of them did nothing, and some of them killed the women who tried them. So what did ancient people actually do to stop pregnancy? How close did some of it come to actually working? And how many women died trying? Let's start in Egypt. 1825 BC. Someone writes a document. Today we call it the Kahun Papyrus. It stayed buried in sand for over 3,600 years. Found again in 1889. Inside it, sex secrets, pregnancy tricks. One recipe: crushed leaves mixed with honey, soaked into cloth. Used right before sex. This one wasn't stupid. Those leaves contain a natural acid. That acid kills sperm. The same kind of acid is still used in spermicide today. A woman 4,000 years ago accidentally invented real science. Now here's the other recipe. Crocodile poop, mixed with sour milk. Used the same way. For years, experts thought this was a joke. The dumb recipe. But poop is acidic. It changes the pH inside the body. A different pH can slow sperm down. So maybe it did something. A tiny something. Definitely not reliable. And the smell alone should have stopped people from trying it. It didn't. Women kept doing it anyway, because something felt better than nothing. Now fast forward 2,000 years. Ancient Greece. 400s BC. Hippocrates. Yes, that Hippocrates, the guy we still call the father of medicine. His big pregnancy advice? Drink water mixed with copper. He said it would work for an entire year. Copper is toxic in those amounts. It destroys your kidneys. It destroys your liver. He had no idea. He just noticed that women who drank it sometimes didn't get pregnant. He never asked why. He never asked what else it was doing to their bodies. That gap between it works and it's safe is the scary part of this whole story. 200 years later, a man named Cyrano shows up. He was the most famous women's doctor in the entire Roman world. People trusted him completely. His instructions got copied for generations. So what did he tell women to do right after sex to avoid pregnancy? Hold your breath, sneeze hard, jump backward 7 times. That's it. That was real medical advice from the top expert in the whole empire. Sounds insane today, but there might be a tiny logic hiding underneath it. Sudden movement right after sex could reduce what stays inside the body. It's a weak idea, it's not nothing. But it's also definitely not real birth control. It's a guess. Wearing a doctor's bomb. Now here's where things get dark. Pennyroyal, a small mint plant. Smells sweet like spearmint gum. Grows across Europe and parts of Asia. For over 2,000 years, women used this plant to end pregnancies. Pliny the Elder wrote about it in the year 77 AD. Even Carl Linnaeus, the scientist who created the naming system we still use for every living species, listed it as a pregnancy-ending plant in the year 1749. This was never some sketchy rumor. This was mainstream science, trusted by serious experts for centuries. But here's the deadly catch. Pennyroyal oil has a chemical in it called pulegon. Pulegon does cause the body to react, but the amount needed to work is almost the exact same amount that destroys your liver. There's barely any safe gap, basically none. Women drank weak pennyroyal tea for years with no problem. Then someone desperate would drink the strong oil version instead, and it could go very, very wrong. Internal bleeding, liver failure, death. In 1978, an 18-year-old girl in Denver drank a full ounce of pennyroyal oil. She survived, barely, after days in intensive care. Other women were not so lucky. And here's the part people don't say enough. These women weren't being stupid. They were following advice from real doctors, real scientists, the most trusted names in medicine, for 2,000 years straight. The information was wrong, but the desperation behind it was completely real. Now let's jump to the other side of the world. Ancient China. One of the earliest known texts, called the Classic of Mountains and Seas, describes a bitter plant called gurong. Leaves shaped like an orchid, a root shaped like a balloon flower. People believed this single plant could block pregnancy completely. Modern science has never proven that it actually works, but the belief was old enough and common enough to get written into one of the oldest surviving books in Chinese history. Now here's the darker part. In certain periods of ancient China, royal concubines reportedly drank a mixture made from lead and mercury to avoid pregnancy. The side effects were brutal: infertility, brain damage, kidney failure, death. This wasn't an accident. It was a known risk that women accepted. Some of these women may have faced a horrifying choice: an unwanted pregnancy or slow poisoning. And some of them chose the poison. Sit with that for a second, because that's not medicine. That's a system that gave women zero good options. Back in Europe, centuries later, the tricks turned physical instead of chemical. Wool soaked in oil or vinegar, pushed inside the body before sex. Animal horn, shaped into a barrier, homemade devices made from whatever material people could find. Then there's the one with an actual famous name attached: Casanova's lemons. Yes, that Casanova. Cut a lemon in half, squeeze it a little, use the rind right before sex. Lemon juice does have a mild sperm-killing effect. The shape does roughly cover the right area. This wasn't a joke method. It was a real, painfully uncomfortable attempt at blocking pregnancy two different ways at once. Casanova claimed he invented it himself. He didn't. Versions of this trick existed in cultures all over the world long before he was even born. He just had better PR. So why does any of this even matter today? Because look at the pattern hiding underneath all of it. A natural acid from leaves, a natural acid from lemons, a toxic metal that accidentally messed with fertility, a plant chemical that genuinely affected the body, just at a deadly dose. None of these were random superstition pulled out of thin air. Every single one was built on a real, undiscovered piece of chemistry. These women, across 4,000 years, on 3 different continents, were running dangerous chemistry experiments on their own bodies. No labs, no safety testing, no way to know the difference between "this helps a little" and "this will kill you." They just watched what happened. They passed down whatever seemed to work, and they kept improving it, generation after generation, the exact same way real science improves, just without any of the protection real science is supposed to give you. The birth control pill finally arrived in 1960. It took decades of trials, hormone research, and testing to build something safe and reliable. But the desire behind it? That part isn't new at all. A woman in Egypt in 1825 BC wanted the exact same thing a woman wants today: control over her own body. She didn't have the science. She had a plant, a paste, and a guess. Sometimes the guess worked, sometimes it nearly killed her. We didn't invent this desire. We just finally built something that doesn't force women to gamble with their lives to get it.